Hey guys, Dan-Malone here from MassLive.com, alongside, as always, Andrew Sear of the Massachusetts Daily Collegian. As you can see from the lighthouse behind us, we are here at Gillette Stadium following UMass's 47-35 loss to Mississippi State. It's their third loss of the season, coming off a win last week. They're, it's an SEC school, another one, and another game that they probably could have won, and they let slip away. The UMass was up 21-20 with about 7 minutes to go in the third quarter, and over the next 7 minutes, they gave up 21 straight points. And the game really slipped away in a fashion similar to what we've seen from this team over the past few years. It was probably the most frustrating quarter they've played all year long. They gave up 4 touchdowns in the quarter overall. Against just one that they scored. They gave up over 200 yards, 11 first downs. They turned the ball over. They were penalized. Everything kind of came crashing down at them all at once after what had been a pretty competitive, well-played game up to that point.
Definitely, and I don't know if you remember this, but last year's third quarters, UMass got outscored 122-35 last year in the third quarter.
We'll throw this in the bucket.
By far their worst, and we saw it again today. But the thing was, in that first half, they did show signs that they were really good. They played like a really good football team, and like you mentioned, it was the mistakes that internally they made, whether it was a botched field goal snap, whether it's a penalty on third down, whether it's just mistackled. I don't know how many we've seen today. I'm sure Whipple's going to go note that in the film ASAP. But no, all in all, it wasn't a terrible performance from UMass. And like Whipple said, these guys are SEC's talent. They're SEC recruits. They're SEC speed.
They're not the best SEC team, obviously, but there's still a difference between what level they're operating at, what level UMass is.
Definitely, and if you told UMass or UMass fans that you're going to have a one-possession game in the fourth quarter, all you need is one more defensive stop to get the ball back, I'm sure a lot of people would have taken that scenario.
They would have taken that at the end of the third quarter, too.
Exactly. But that third quarter, like you said, the pick six really hurt him. But Whipple throughout the game said he never felt like this team was out. We've heard him say a lot this year that this team's different. This team, the attitude's different. The mojo's different. Just the whole operation feel is different. He said that aside from that pick six and just briefly, the team felt confident on the sideline.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, this is how many times have they gone through this?
True.
Even this year, moral victories, even against Power 5 teams, only go so far. The pick six, Andrew Ford kind of stared down a guy.
Yeah.
Right here in the end zone, right behind us.
Yeah, just led
telegraphed it.
Yep, led Brenneman.
And that was a big swing. That was kind of the moment where Whipple admitted, he said even though they were confident, that when he looked around on the sideline, guys were kind of getting down a little bit. Credit to Ford for kind of leading the comeback there. I thought he looked pretty good. He threw 3 picks. The first one wasn't his fault.
Yeah, Isabella slipped running down the go route.
The last one was his fault, but he was trying to press to make something happen. The second one was just truly awful.
Yep.
But at the same time, I thought he looked pretty good against an SEC team. A lot of people after last week in the FIU game said, well, yeah, sure, he looked great against FIU, but Ross Comas had to go up against BC and Florida. Let's see Andrew Ford do that. We did, and I thought he played well enough to continue as the starting quarterback. I was particularly impressed with the way he handles pressure. There are a couple plays, notably a fourth and one dump off, which isn't a miraculous play, but he had a free rusher in his face. He recognized it and he got it to Marquise Young, who I was able to pick up 15 yards and get first down. And then also the touchdown to Sadiq Palmer, the freshman, where he climbed the pocket initially and then had to roll out to his left and make a nice strike on the run to sneak that ball in right at the pylon. And those are the type of things that you can build around, especially with a guy who's got multiple years of eligibility.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with Ford, he's very patient in the pocket.
He
doesn't look to run at the first glance. He goes through his read. He goes to the check down a lot.
It helps that the check down a lot of times is his buddy
exactly.
Adam Brenneman. So.
But no, with Ford, looked good on a couple deep balls. Jalen Williams had 2 nice grabs.
Jalen had a great game.
Might see that on the highlights tomorrow.
One-handed. That was nice.
Yeah, that was a nice catch. But no, with Ford, he's not the biggest or the fastest guy in the world, but he moves in the pocket incredibly well. He evades a rush. He steps up, like you mentioned, but I think moving forward that this could be the guy Whipple goes with.
Yeah. Marquise Young is one of the fastest, and we saw that on the UMass's first touchdown of the game, an 83-yard end around where he kind of split a couple defenders on the edge, and he was gone. No one was catching him. It looked reminiscent of the Notre Dame game and the Toledo game here last year. They need to do more to get him in space. Other than that play, I mean, he finished with 125 yards rushing, but that was 83 of it came on that one play. More can be done, I think, to kind of get him going because he's just such a dynamic weapon that, and he said it himself when he did that. The team felt like, yeah, we can play with this, and if they can play against an SEC team because they feel that way, then they can play with anyone.
Definitely.
So if they can get him playing more like he did today against teams like Tulane and Louisiana Tech and Hawaii, that should bode well for them moving forward.
Definitely. I think with Young entering the game, the longest rush UMass had this year was 15 yards. And we've talked to a lot of linemen, we've talked to Marquise, we've talked to Whipple, and they all said that they were close to busting one out. And this was it. It was actually a play call by Foley designed, the offensive line coach. Whipple credited that to us. But one final quick note, the plays. Whipple said that a lot of times the way Mississippi State just grinded them out.
They did long drives.
They had long drives, and on the flip side of that, UMass had only 2 one-play drives. He obviously had the touchdown with Young, but then one of Ford's interceptions came on the first.
The very next play.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you're playing against a team like Mississippi State, you have to control the ball, and obviously you'll take the 83-yard touchdown run, but at the same time you want to win the possession game, and UMass didn't do that today.
Yeah, there were a lot of drives that specifically were kept alive because quarterback contain broke down and
third down.
And Fitzgerald, the Mississippi State quarterback, he ran for over 100 yards today. He was kind of just gatching and picking them apart in the middle there. So yeah, they're going to get worn down in that game. They're going to, and we saw that a lot of missed tackles in the second half. When you have tired arms, tired legs, you're going to miss tackles. So
exactly. And UMass, Shane Huber, he was questionable coming into this game. We saw him mixing in series or two here and there. It looked like he's kind of going one series off, one series on, one series off, one series on. And he's one of your best defensive players too. So he's not out there. It just makes it difficult to tackle.
It's helped that Steve Casale continues to play at a high level. Deshaun Downey, another impact game. So if they can keep that up against teams that aren't Mississippi State, Tulane next week at home at McGurk, that'll make a difference for them. And they've got a chance to, I think, win a few more of these games based on what we've seen, but they're going to have to limit a lot of mistakes that apparently keep rearing their ugly heads in the third quarter. So we'll see if they can do it next week back at McGurk. Andrew, thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan.
And we'll catch you next time.